For decades, the transatlantic alliance stood as a pillar of global stability. Born from the ashes of World War II, it forged economic bonds that turned former adversaries into partners. But a new chapter is unfolding, one where tariffs, not treaties, define relationships. What began as a policy to protect domestic industries has evolved into a complex dispute involving the world's largest economies. In an effort to revive American manufacturing, the United States government introduced tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, with rates reaching 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum. These measures were aimed at protecting domestic industries from what was seen as unfair competition. Historically, such drastic measures were unthinkable between allies who had long relied on each other for economic stability. Yet, in the wake of these policies, familiar trade partners found themselves on the defensive. Germany, a nation renowned as one of Europe's industrial powerhouses, is among those most affected by these tariffs. As one of the largest steel producers and a leading exporter of automobiles, Germany's economic framework is intricately linked to transatlantic trade. For instance, German automotive manufacturers export hundreds of thousands of vehicles to the United States annually, a market that, until recently, offered consistent growth and stability. The potential imposition of an additional 25% tariff on automobiles has sparked significant concern within German industry circles. Such a measure would not only raise the cost of vehicles by several $1,000s each, but also jeopardize jobs and reduce export volumes. In parallel, Canada, long recognized as the United States' largest supplier of steel and aluminum, has also been forced to reassess its position. With a trade network that supports thousands of jobs and underpins critical sectors, such as construction and manufacturing, Canadian leaders have denounced these tariffs as an unwarranted assault on fair trade practices. Economic analyses reveal that the tariffs, while designed to bolster domestic production, carry significant repercussions. Data from various industry reports indicate that the United States imports millions of dollars worth of steel and aluminum each year from its allies. For Germany, whose steel industry contributes substantially to both national GDP and European exports, the threat of counter-tariffs has prompted calls for swift action. Some experts have estimated that a prolonged trade dispute could reduce GDP growth by anywhere from 0.5% to 1% in affected economies, a projection that underscores the high stakes of the situation. Moreover, the potential impact on the automotive sector cannot be understated. In Germany, where brands such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Volkswagen are not only cultural icons, but also engines of economic growth, any disruption in exports could translate into severe economic consequences. A 25% tariff on automobiles might lead to a significant drop in sales, reduced manufacturing output, and a ripple effect throughout the supply chain, from parts suppliers to local dealerships. The dispute began when the United States imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, citing the need to protect American industries. These measures were introduced under the premise of restoring competitiveness in domestic production. Shortly after the initial tariffs, additional threats emerged. U.S. officials warned of imposing a further 25% tariff on automobiles, a move that would directly affect German exports. This announcement sent shockwaves through the international community, prompting immediate responses from both Europe and Canada. In response to the U.S. measures, the European Commission formulated a counter-tariff strategy. The plan included potential tariffs on a range of U.S. products, such as agricultural goods and even whiskey. However, the multilateral decision-making process within the European Union, designed to ensure unity among member states, also revealed inherent delays. Critics noted that such bureaucratic processes might not match the urgency demanded by national economic interests. In an unprecedented move, the German Ministry of Economy indicated that waiting for the European Commission's lengthy process was not a viable option. Germany signaled its willingness to adopt unilateral measures if U.S. tariffs on automobiles were implemented. This approach was aimed at protecting critical industries and safeguarding jobs, even if it meant deviating from the collective European response. At the same time, Canada, heavily reliant on its trade with the United States, voiced strong opposition to the tariffs. This shared sense of grievance laid the groundwork for a potential alliance between Canada and Germany, uniting two nations traditionally on opposite sides of the Atlantic against what they viewed as aggressive protectionist policies. The economic data adds further depth to this multifaceted issue. For example, reports show that Germany's automotive industry, a critical pillar of its economy, accounts for a substantial share of its export revenue. In addition, the steel and aluminum sectors are vital to both the German and Canadian industrial bases, supporting tens of thousands of jobs in manufacturing logistics, and beyond. Comparatively, the United States boasts a vast domestic market that often provides a cushion against short-term trade disruptions. However, analysts warn that prolonged trade barriers could ultimately hurt American consumers and businesses alike. Increased production costs and higher prices on imported goods may lead to reduced consumer spending and a slowdown in economic growth. From a statistical perspective, even modest shifts in trade policy can have cascading effects. Some forecasts suggest that any significant tariff-induced price increases could decrease vehicle exports from Germany by up to 10%, while American steel and aluminum costs could rise sharply, affecting industries from construction to defense manufacturing. At the heart of this dispute lies a fundamental question. How can nations balance the need to protect domestic industries with the imperative of maintaining robust international trade relations? The potential for a coordinated response by Germany and Canada represents a significant departure from traditional unilateral approaches. By joining forces, these nations seek not only to counteract the immediate economic pressures, but also to signal a broader shift in global trade dynamics. In contrast, the United States' approach has been characterized by targeted, individual negotiations. This strategy, some analysts argue, is designed to exploit divisions among allies, thereby weakening the collective bargaining power of Europe and North America. As these differing methodologies come into play, the international community is forced to reckon with the possibility of a realignment in global trade policies. The challenges posed by these trade tensions are not confined solely to economic statistics or policy debates. They extend to the very fabric of international relations. The decisions made in response to this dispute will have far-reaching implications. A full-blown trade war could disrupt global supply chains, increase production costs, and ultimately lead to a slowdown in global economic growth. On the other hand, a carefully negotiated compromise might pave the way for a new era of trade cooperation, one that balances national interests with the benefits of collective action. As we look to the future, the unfolding trade tensions between the United States, Germany, and Canada serve as a stark reminder of the delicate balance between national policy and global interdependence. Each country involved has distinct economic vulnerabilities and strategic priorities. The path forward may well require a blend of coordinated action and measured compromise, a strategy that protects domestic interests without igniting a full-scale trade conflict. Ultimately, this dispute underscores a broader transformation in international trade relations. In an era where protectionist policies are increasingly prevalent, the traditional paradigms of economic cooperation are being re-examined. The potential for a coordinated response among key trading nations suggests that a multipolar approach to global commerce is emerging, a framework that could redefine how nations negotiate, collaborate, and compete in the decades to come.